Welcome to Art's Place, conservative talk from a different view, from the Casablanca studio in Golden, Colorado. Hosted by Art Carlson. At 4'6", liberals fear him, and conservatives love him. He's definitely a giant among men. Now here's your host, Art Carlson.
Alrighty then. Welcome to another episode of Art's Place, conservative talk from a different view. Yes. Let's bring in my co-host all the way from Muskogee, Oklahoma. Let's welcome Lloyd Mendenhall. Hey, Lloyd.
Hello, everybody. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. It's a warm, hot day today. Luckily, I went out flying early in the day. We started at about 8 o'clock and flew till about 9:30, and then came home, had some lunch, and then got ready for a show. How about yourself?
I don't know if it's... Oh, I'm doing good. I'm kind of watching the video, and I don't know if it's my side of things or YouTube itself, but it seems to be just a little hesitation there. So
a little bit of laggy?
Yeah, a little lag. So, but it seems to settle down now, so okay. I'm doing good. Good. I like your new intro.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Oh, from last night? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I like your music that you had on today, and all of that. So awesome.
Mike won't be joining us today. He's out and about today. So
good for him. Good for him. Yeah. Means he's got a life unlike the rest of us.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So today we got a couple things. Maybe you might have something that I haven't thought about. It looks like there's collusion between the big tech and the federal government. I don't know if you heard that. Jen Psaki, a.k.a. Peppermint Patty.
Yes, I heard that.
She said that, we'll work with Facebook and to dispel misinformation or disinformation.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's in reference to the COVID-19, but if they start with that, what are they going to go to next, But I was just answering Mike. Yes, this is a yellow background. You see a little movement over there, and it's a background I picked because it's something different,
It's not purgatory.
No, it's not. And it's not a green, it's not I have a background. It just happens to be yellow. He wrote up there, you don't have a background. It's just yellow. That's what it's supposed to be. Something a little sunny for the summer weather.
Yeah.
Oh,
and by the way, starting next week, we're going to do something different. I am going to give away toffee during this show as well. And hopefully that'll draw in a few more new...
a few more? Yeah.
Yeah, a few more people in.
Yeah, I heard that knothead say that stuff. She's we've all thought it. But when they start saying the government's going to start working with social media like Facebook, that they are going to, of course, she tried backpedaling the next day, or Biden did, or somebody,
Right. Yeah, because if they're colluding, then that goes with Trump's lawsuit against big tech, because otherwise, if they weren't colluding, then Trump's lawsuit falls to pieces because, private businesses can, censor people. But government can't. But if they're working with the government, then, that's kind of,
well, and
goes against the First Amendment.
I shared a video clip on Facebook and a couple other places that was Fox News was talking about just that thing, and they said their opinion was Trump's lawyers are probably dancing a jig and opening the champagne already, and because she admitted it. I mean, she just flat said it, and then all of a sudden it was like she
stepped in now.
Oh yeah, she stuck her foot. It's like they have instructions down there in front of her. Open mouth, insert foot into slot A.
Right.
The mouth. Yeah.
Well, it's that Biden has little note cards now.
Yeah, he does. Which is, that in itself is sad.
I know.
It's.
I mean, that just tells you that he doesn't have it all up there.
Oh yeah,
his
that's pretty obvious.
Functions.
Yeah. Yeah, and you can see him get confused.
I like that.
Yeah. I think Mike brought that idea up last week. I think he's been talking about it for 3 or 4 weeks now on this show.
Something like that. So.
Yeah. So, I'm going to say the internet problem might be on your side because you keep freezing up.
Am I freezing up too?
You're freezing up. I'm not. Yeah.
Yeah, I am freezing up. Oh,
yeah.
Because I just did a speed test right before the show went on, right before the music ended.
Yeah.
That my numbers were kind of low. I was.
Yeah.
No, it was like down to 400, and then all of a sudden it just went right up to 600, which is about what I should be getting.
Right.
But,
right.
Yep.
Yeah, so, I noticed when it was right after. As a matter of fact, when it transitioned and you do that flip in, it kind of went before it came to full screen. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Mike says, "Yeah, you are freezing," but the audio is coming through great. Yeah, so and that's usually the case. So, as bad as James was last night, but
oh yeah, James was really terrible last.
He cracked me up because even with the bad internet and he knew he had to go, he still had just one more thing.
Yeah, that's right. He just kept on going. He's like the Energizer Bunny.
Yeah. He needs to quit popping those black mollies before he does the show.
Well, at least he cut his hair, which is good.
Oh, yeah. It looks like all he did, though, is took the scissors and cut off the ponytail. I cut my hair, too, but I did it like this, This requires, the 1/4-inch blade guard and...
There you go.
Yeah, it works.
And I noticed you trimmed those mutton chops.
I did. I trimmed them up because, Judy was finally... She's getting ready to put her foot down. Yeah. And they were getting bushy, and I was going to... First, I trimmed them down to here. I trimmed them, made them shorter, and then kept them down to here. And then I decided to put them to here, and finally I said, I just put them... in the service, we were allowed to wear them to just where the bottom hole... This is in the 70s. We were allowed to have sideburns to that point.
Right.
Bottom now of the ear? Yeah, we could just the bottom of the ear, bottom of the last... where the indent is, and... That's kind of where I've always kept it, But well, I used to keep it up to here, but now age spots and stuff I'm trying to hide. So, but yeah, that thing with the collusion though. Yeah,
Yeah, I
the
know.
monkeys that must be in charge of that place. Because how do you have, and I guess it's just gall, that you have the gall to come out and actually say what you're doing, knowing that, and I even heard something, I can't remember who said it, that she says the First Amendment of the Constitution is just sort of a guideline or something to that effect.
Yeah, it's just a guidebook. It does, it's not set in
Are
stone.
you friggin' kidding me?
Yeah.
What kind of...
Yeah.
The height of their, the
arrogance?
Arrogance, yeah, the height of their arrogance, thank you. The arrogance is just off the chart.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, I did a rant on Greg's show on Friday because of some of the stupidity that has been brought out. And he let me. He had fun with it. He set me up for a couple of things. There was a and it wasn't just, well, we'll talk about one of the things in a little bit, and then I'll do my rant. So
okay.
Trying to help stay on track right now. I'm trying to keep myself on track. And for me, that's hard to do.
And this is more local, but it's also just as nutty. This year, our state assembly passed a bill giving local control to cities to where they could have stricter gun laws than the state does. Well, the ink hadn't dried, and what happened was Jefferson County Parks and Rec decided they weren't going to recognize concealed carry permit.
Okay.
Yeah. Which
that went over like a lead balloon.
Oh yes, and my friend Rick, he's he's pretty high up with the Jefferson County Republicans, and
right,
he really got on those people. He just said, "What in the hell is going on there?" And I guess it turns out it really wasn't the Parks and Rec people, but their staff that wrote this up. What's going on there? So the sheriff just came out, I guess, last night on the news saying that they weren't going to enforce that ruling by the Jefferson County Parks and Rec.
Would this mean that you couldn't conceal carry in parks in Jefferson County, or is that what they were trying to... Yeah.
So
yeah. Well,
go. Well, Chris says.
I was going to say that's Yeah, go ahead.
Chris says that's because all the snow behind Arts.
Yeah. Well, I see that every time I see that background of yours, I think of growing up in Denver.
Yeah.
And that's west. That's looking west behind you, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I had a northwest bedroom. Yeah, okay. And we lived in Westminster over off of 76th and Zuni.
Over that way.
Yeah. So I didn't have all the downtown buildings in the way. We were a little further north from where that's at. But every morning when I got up, that's the image I saw.
Mm-hmm.
That was right out my bedroom window. I'd get out and look out, see if it was snowing. Is it a snow day, which we didn't have. We didn't have friggin' snow days when I was a kid, And we had to walk barefoot uphill both ways,
Both ways,
Yeah. Yeah. But we didn't have snow days. I probably, I don't think I remember more than maybe 3 in all
Right.
12 years, 13 years of school, because kindergarten. And then, uh, yeah, I don't remember snow days at all.
Mm-hmm.
I remember one, I think I think it was like in 6th grade. And the only reason I
Oh,
remember
okay.
is because I got a butt whooping out of it. Dad knocked the
Oh,
fire out of me because I was sitting there. I'd sit there in the mornings and I'd have one of those TV trays in front of the chair, and I'd be watching this, you know, uh, daily cartoon shows or whatever. They always had kids shows and stuff like
right.
Bozo and Captain Kangaroo and stuff like. But there were some other shows that played cartoons every morning. And I
Right.
was watching that, and I'd heard on the radio coming out of the bedroom that schools were closed for the day.
Oh,
And so I'm still in my robe, and my mom's getting on to me, and my dad says, "Boy, get in there and get your butt dressed. You're going to school." I said, I said, finally I looked down and said, "What the hell? Don't you listen to the radio?"
oh, boy.
Oh, he
Oh,
backhanded
man.
me. He just reached over and slapped the fire out
Oh,
of me.
man.
Yeah. Because he
Yeah.
just kept nagging and said, there's just no day, yeah, oops, yeah, Chris Ridge, yeah. What the hell? Don't you listen to the
No,
radio?
you didn't.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know who was going to tear me up worse, my dad or my mom, right? Because my dad didn't get mad very often, but with me. Now
Yeah.
he'd take on my brother, but my brother was 10 years older, so, and my
Right.
brother was at that age. He thought he was big enough to. I had to have been. That had to have been about 5th grade, 4th or
Yeah.
5th grade. And when he did it, he left it because he did that in his ring. His Masonic ring
Oh,
caught just a little. Now he'd go to jail for that crap.
yeah.
But I deserved it. I needed a backhand. I was talk to my
Mm-hmm.
dad like that, and
Yeah.
my mom like that. I disrespected mom and dad that morning. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
And of course, he felt bad about it that he'd done that,
Mm-hmm.
he'd cut my eye. He didn't feel bad about smacking me,
Right. Mm-hmm.
but
And see,
what
and
the
you
hell? Don't you?
didn't go out on some tall building and start shooting at
Yeah.
people. See how you
No, I
turned
didn't
out?
become a mass killer, or I didn't become, I didn't become a Democrat. you know,
Uh,
uh,
okay, so let's get back to Parks and Rec. So, really, when they wrote that bill, that was really more for municipalities and not these little small government things. I think somebody on the staff at the Parks and Rec thought, "Oh, wait, we got more power here. We're
Yeah.
liberals and we like animals, so hey, no more concealed guns, by God." So,
yeah, and uh, it's one of those things that now see certain buildings here. You can't go into city buildings, federal buildings, state buildings. You can't carry
right,
your gun in. You know,
yep, that's
some they don't have a problem with. Believe it or
mhm.
not, I can carry my gun into the bank.
Oh,
Yeah, concealed door open
right, right,
because we got constitutional carry here now. I
right,
still have a concealed carry simply
hmm
because if I go to another state and I'm carrying concealed, well, I have to have, or I'm carrying a gun at all.
right,
Some states you have to conceal it. So I'd have to take it. I'd have to wear my suspenders on the inside and let the shirt hang down. But uh, for the most part, I usually do that. I usually do. I was in a hurry today, so and
hmm
but Yeah, certain like city buildings, and
Mm.
that's up to the county, county or the city or city police department, but yeah,
Mhm.
you can carry a gun into a bank, and
Mhm.
but as far as recognizing concealed carry, there's no special authority given to the municipalities or
Right.
you know only inside their building. You know,
Mhm. Well, I think that part of the reason why the Democrat control of the state assembly, why they wanted to do this was so they could disrupt the some cities will allow you to have it and some won't. So this kind oh god, you said that word earlier. What is that called when you cross either a state line or even a city
yeah,
line?
right.
What's
My mind just went
oh
blank too.
oh man. Anyway, that meaning where they want to disrupt it so when people are concealed carry, they're like going,
Right.
"Oh, wait a minute, am I legal here in Denver? Am I legal here in this town? I don't know.
Yeah, and
I might."
should they get pulled over in Denver County compared to Jefferson County to Adams County, uh,
Right.
which counties allow it, and you get pulled over and you tell put your hand on the steering wheel and say, "Officer, I'm carrying concealed. I've got uh, uh, CCL, concealed carry
Hmm.
license."
Right.
And well, sorry, but you're in Jefferson County. We don't allow that here. I'm going to
Yeah.
have to arrest you for carrying concealed.
Hmm.
That's why our concealed carry licenses are issued by the state,
Right.
and state jurisdiction overrides city. Now, inside a building, the actual inside the city property, in the building,
Hmm.
they have the jurisdiction there, you know.
Right. Hmm.
But like in a courtroom, you can't take a gun into a courtroom,
Hmm.
which I think is perfectly fine.
Yeah.
I don't want some guys getting pissed off because he's getting raked over the coals by his ex-wife's lawyer and having to pay alimony and child
Yeah.
support, for kids that might not be his, whatever,
Yeah.
and
That's
him going
true.
off the deep end and shooting everybody. I don't want to be there, to see that happen.
Hmm.
Yeah, if you're going to do
Do
anything wrong with
anything
a gun,
wrong
then
with the
you wouldn't be
gun, then
carrying
you
it in the
shouldn't.
open. So you should be happy seeing you with it. Yeah, it's
Yep.
like people come up to you, you're not wearing a mask. Oh, you're not wearing a mask, you're not protecting other people. I said, you're not wearing a gun, so you're not protecting other people either.
There you go. There you go.
You know,
Hmm.
they think if we wear a mask, what about the other people you're trying to protect? Well, okay, but I carry a gun. Where's yours? If you're concerned about protecting other people, what if some madman comes in here? Are you going to be able to protect those people? Why don't you have a gun? You get your gun, I'll
Hmm.
get a mask.
Hmm.
that
There you
usually
go.
shuts them up. Some argument
Hmm.
along that line.
Yeah.
You know,
Hmm.
and yeah, I don't like carrying open, but because of the weather and stuff, I just uh, and because as the song says, I don't look good naked anymore. Because my belly's getting lower to the ground. That I don't know if you've heard that
There you
song or
go.
not, but
Uh-huh.
uh, I got to have something to hold up. I got to have something to hold up my gun belt. That's
There
what
you
the
go.
suspenders are for.
Hmm.
Because I can cinch that thing up as tight as I want, and where I can't even breathe, and it still starts sliding down. So I figured spenders will work. So,
Yep.
but
Good
yeah,
idea.
these what is that uh, word that we were looking for? Uh,
Oh yeah, I know. It's. I think it starts with a C. Letter C.
yeah,
So anyway, so Biden goes to see Putin just recently.
Mm-hmm.
And what does he do? He's got a list saying, you better not hack into these. Yes, it was
reciprocatory.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's right there on the tip of my tongue.
R word, yeah.
Yeah.
So he's demanding that Putin, well, you better not, hack into these this infrastructure. Like hospitals and grocery stores and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I thought, how embarrassing. If we had a real president, I think he would say, okay, you're allowing this, and the next time this happens, well, we might lob a missile somewhere where we think the hackers originate.
Yeah. Here's the it's bad enough that you give a list of, we don't want this stuff hacked. That's obviously going to be the first thing they hack. But here's the other question. Does that mean there's other things that it's okay to hack, just don't hack these 16? Which that was my first thought.
Mm-hmm.
My thing with Putin would have been, don't friggin' hack anything. Get your damned hackers under control before we have to do something about it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
End of conversation, But, Biden is one of those sissy boys that,
Well, I listened to Ross Kaminsky in the morning, and he's
right.
And he put it plainly. He said, you know what? Back in the day, we used to have people that would, I don't know, bump off people that would, cause mischief, like that. That's how the mafia would take care of stuff like that.
Well, the mafia used to help the Democrats. They used to take care of, there's, I don't care what you say about the Kennedy assassination conspiracy theories or anything, but there's always been that theory that the CIA and the mafia were in collusion to get rid of him for Johnson.
Right. Well,
and
that's a whole different story there. Just
that is, but
too many people would know about it that by now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's the idea that myth has been put forward.
Yeah, that too.
Has been put forward by the conspiracy theorists.
Oh, you mean the same people that say that we never went to the moon?
Yeah, well, but what I'm saying is,
the Earth is
putting
flat?
the conspiracy. Yeah, it is, isn't it? Anyways, I keep hoping Biden's going to get on a ship and sail over the edge and be done. But
there you go.
Anyways, that's the only reason I'd want a flat Earth to help push him over the edge. But the idea is that the mafia or the whoever they are did work, with the CIA.
They're the one. They helped Kennedy, pretty much steal the election in Illinois.
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And but like you said, the CIA used to bump off people.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
And now the CIA is so politicized.
Well, remember when the Mossad used to do that?
Oh yeah. And I think they still do. They're just not quite as open about it as they used to.
Well, they killed that general in Iran a few months ago.
Ah, that's true. That's true.
Well, you know why there's no terrorism in Russia?
I thought we dropped a missile on one of the generals over there too.
No, that was in Yemen.
Oh, well, back when Trump was president, didn't we kill off one of their big leaders?
Yeah, that was in Syria, I believe.
Was it in Syria? Okay.
Yeah.
I know that they were ticked off about it because
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of retaliation back and forth. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but yeah, the fact that we have a woke intelligence division
Right.
or
Oh,
agency.
there's another good topic. And sadly, the Air Force Academy has been infected.
Oh yeah.
We could talk
Yeah.
about that. That was going to be something else I was going to talk about. Where one of the professors there started teaching CRT, critical race theory. And
CRT stood for cathode ray tube.
yeah, that too.
Okay.
So the commander at the I guess he was the commander or was the commander at the Space Force at Buckley Air Base here in Denver was relieved of duty because he spoke out about that. And he was just recently on Ross Kaminsky's show, and then later on he was on Dan Bongino's show, another show I just started listening to on the radio the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, we don't get him on. We don't get Dan Bongino on the radio, but I usually catch his podcast on YouTube.
Okay,
I've been following Bongino for a long time.
Get iHeartRadio, and you'll probably find a radio station that has him.
Yeah, my problem is with that is I don't listen. I don't use my phone to listen to radio. I've got AM radio in my old pickup truck, and
you don't
the only
have
time I
like
listen
Alexis?
Not in my truck. It's a 99 Ford F-150. It's still got a cassette player. Don't even have a CD player, So, but yeah, I don't listen to the radio unless I'm in the truck. But I listen to other things. I listen to a lot of other stuff. And as you said, the Air Force Academy, they're getting woke, and they're and that segues into something that I went off on Greg's show on Friday.
Oh, okay. Do tell.
The FAA.
Oh
yeah. They just they had some group of knobheads on there has decided that we will no longer be flying unmanned aircraft systems.
Oh, okay.
They're no longer called unmanned. They're uncrewed. Because manned. Yes, because the FAA is going to spend millions of dollars changing everything to make it gender neutral. Because women have been oppressed by the 90 some odd % of white men that fly aircraft.
Yeah.
And so it's all because we say manned. Oh, and it will no longer be called the cockpit. It will be called the flight deck.
Cockpit.
Yeah. And let's see if I've got this up here. Yeah. And they will no longer be called airmen. We actually discussed some of this on Greg's show because he brought in Alexis who is a woman pilot. And I even made a joke about you during that because she's 6'1". Her dad's like 6'7". She's got a couple cousins that are 7 foot. Her mother's 5'11". I said, "Oh my God, standing next to your family, I feel like Art. I'm only 5'8". But yeah, an FAA committee released a report recommending airlines shift to gender neutral language. Airmen will now be called aviators. Women have little representation in the industry. 94% of pilots and flight engineers are white men.
Oh my.
Yeah, they're recommending and here this is what set me off when they started talking about the drone stuff is of course they're going to be called uncrewed and
Uncrewed.
because that's a recommendation that hasn't been put into full implementation yet, but it is being implemented.
Mhm.
The group Drone DJ has decided to go gender neutral in all of their stories now.
Oh. Now, would that be crude language?
That's what I kept saying. Isn't that kind of crude? Yeah. I said, say somebody's flying an uncrewed aircraft, or crude, like when we was talking to Lex, I said, I wouldn't call her crude,
How about
you know.
uncouth?
Uncouth, maybe, yeah, but crude, no. And, but Drone DJ is now going to, all of their stories will be gender neutral.
Oh boy.
So I've decided, of course, not that I ever read their crap anyways, because to me they're a bunch of blowhards.
Yeah.
And I had one thing to say about Drone DJ, and I don't care what anybody thinks about it, but that's what I think of Drone DJ.
Yeah.
Because that's just, you're just giving in to the bunch of sissy boys, and here's the thing. Women have the opportunity to become flight engineers. They have the opportunity to become, and so do blacks and Hispanics. And, it's not because it's close. It's because they don't go there. They try not to. I had a teacher that was a World War II colonel. He was part of the Army Air Corps. He'd been in it before the war, and he actually trained women pilots, and he trained the first woman pilot in the Army Air Corps. And of course, she went on later to, and he was friends with Amelia Earhart. He knew her. And who says there's not women pilots out there and they don't have the opportunities? I see them all the time. Yep. That is a crock of woke bullcrap.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And they've been around for. I said this when I was in the Air Force. I said if we got a squadron of women fighter pilots, train them as fighter pilots, and of course, this was sexist for me to say, but I thought about it sooner. I would have invited. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chris Wedgeworth brought up, isn't the word man in woman? We brought that up. I brought that up on Greg's show. We can't, the human race. What do we call ourselves? Yeah, she's as like-minded as we are. Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, Mike got to. Yeah, for a moment there, we got to know her really well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she.
Oh, what?
That was after the show.
Oh my.
Yeah, well, it was. She's a corker, I'm telling you. She is just an absolute. She's a riot.
I need to get her over to art show. Liven it up.
Oh, she'd be willing, but just because she's a pilot,
Right.
And
I kind of got.
She's. Yeah, she flies a Cessna 172, belongs to a flying club, and
right.
She had some legitimate complaints. She's as she says, I'm tall and I'm big boned. Oh. And she says, I've got a bit of a low voice. So occasionally she gets tired of hearing, yes, sir, when she calls in the tower. This is aircraft number such and such, for final approach. What show is this? Is that? That was on Oz by Drone, Chris, which is Friday nights at 8 o'clock Central Time.
Well,
An hour.
what is that in the Pacific? He's in California.
Let's see.
That'd be 2 hours different.
Yeah, 6 hours. 6 Pacific Time on Fridays. Yeah. So 6 o'clock Pacific Time on your time. It's Oz by Drone. And yeah, she was on there, but she didn't. Well, Mike was in there, so he can attest. It wasn't. Yeah, I think she had on bikini top, so underneath it, but she was. It was. It was. And Ken Heron came in like that.
Oh
was,
man.
Yeah, I finally had to bail. It's like okay, we were on for. It was almost 10 o'clock before I got through.
Oh, was that in Discord?
No. We stayed in Rendezvous.
Oh, okay, Rendezvous.
Yeah, this was all in Rendezvous after the show. She came onto the show.
Oh.
Because his guest bailed on him again. So she came
Flake, who's the real
Cole Flake. He was supposed to. Last time his kid was sick. This time he was sick. But so Jeff Sells was there. Yeah, well, exactly.
And he's a Flake.
Well, Jeff Sells came in and as a guest, and so did Alexa, and that was that was a show.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, you missed a good show, but
let's
get back to this FAA.
Woke. Yeah, wokeness.
This woke thing, and Drone DJ has decided that they're going to go with the gender neutral. Okay, there may be some points of calling us aviators. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. Right. What really ticked me off was the amount of money that our government's going to spend reprinting all of the manuals, all of the pamphlets, all of the NOTAMs, everything that they're going to spend money on, just for a bunch of whiny sissy boys that think they're offended for the women, or a bunch of hairy-legged women, that want to, anyways, I'm not going to go there, but you know what I'm saying. And, well, basically, they're just so ugly and skanky looking that they can't get a man anyways. So.
Well, I'll put this in the chat. It's like saying, unlicensed, licensed and uninsured driver. Those are hateful labels. You racist. I preferred undocumented vehicle operator.
Yeah, exactly. Well, even my puppets for my ventriloquist thing are starting to, they're becoming woke. They want to be known as mannequin Americans now.
Oh, okay. Well, they are. How about manic depressive?
Oh, that's me. Actually, that's paranoid schizophrenia, but that's, anybody talks to themselves. But yeah, but see, there's another thing. We can't even call them mannequins anymore.
Oh.
How far are we going to go? When I heard about
Heinekens.
Well, that's true. That's true. But when I heard about this, I was talking with Greg, and his wife Pia is from the Philippines,
right?
And of course, she's like, those of us that don't speak English as our first language, how are we to learn the language when you keep changing it on us?
That's right.
And I brought up the same thing. Think about the poor Chinese. They're going to get all confused now when they spy on us. Same with the Russians. It's just not going to make any sense when they quit using these pronouns. And the all those communist countries that and she brought up something. She says they don't have gender in their language, in the Philippine language. They don't use gender.
They don't have he or her or she and
right. Yeah.
yes, yeah.
But when you go into and I've always thought this was kind of a good idea, but even in the Spanish language, they have an ending that differentiates if you're talking to a
Yeah,
man
like
or a woman or about a man
amigo
or
and amiga, so there's
amiga.
an A
Yeah,
and
yeah.
O. Yeah. Hmm.
Exactly. Just changing the ending. We can't do that with our language, because
Hmm.
it's. But are we going to change our whole identity as English speaking people to
It's all about
what's?
divide and conquer.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I watched a video last night with James Earl Jones and Dick Cavett,
Oh. Hmm.
and he was talking about he was talking about somebody who played the character of Othello. He was a white
Uh-huh.
guy.
Hmm.
James Earl Jones. He says, I don't understand why these people are upset. He tried out for the part. He got the part. He did a good job. He says now Iago. He says the guy that played that part, he was crap.
Right.
But he says it was the way he played it. But Iago is such a evil guy that people are scared of him, so they tend to play him off as a goofy guy, goofy character. And
Right. Right.
but this was back. Well, it was when Dick Cavett was still alive, and is
Yeah.
in a
That
long,
would be.
it's quite a while back. But
Yeah.
but he didn't understand why these bunch of uh, people were getting upset over this stuff because it went to the person that did the best job.
Hmm.
That's what the equality thing was about. And I listened to another guy that was from South Africa talking about, uh, their government went the opposite way to try and make this experiment work. That now individual groups couldn't. They created an affirmative action, which meant
Right.
that now you couldn't be Afrikaner, you couldn't be Zulu, you couldn't be um Zimbabwean or whatever
Right.
group that you belong to. All the tribal leaders lost their position. They were no longer respected. That eventually came to what's going on now. This shift one direction. It's just like they brought up affirmative action. Affirmative action, in 1964, the Equal Rights Amendment was signed,
Right. Right.
and that meant segregation was illegal. And then they
Hmm.
immediately wrote a law that segregated people by their race, called the affirmative action. Because they said, all right, this group of people now, you can't make it on your own as an equal, so we're going to give you an edge because you're not smart enough. That's what they've done. And
Hmm.
now it's got to the point where the gal that didn't that turned her back on the national anthem. There's pictures
Right.
of her waving the flag and but at some point she was very proud to be an American and represent the United States. But at some point she started believing the BS. Somebody
Ah.
got to her. She got sponsored. One of the things was she got sponsored by a very left wing group,
Oh.
and that's what happened there. But she,
Hmm.
you know, and she can't has come back and says, I didn't say I hated my country. I'm just supporting my people.
Hmm.
I thought your people were the citizens of the United States who you were representing. This whole gender identity and race identity. We've got segregation here worse than it ever was. You know,
Hmm. Hmm.
instead of
Yeah.
having the Klan now, we have Black Lives Matter,
Black Lives Matter, Antifa. Yep. Hmm.
Antifa, yeah, and they make the Klan look like a bunch of hillbillies,
Yeah. Hmm.
which most of them were. And they were all Democrats.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
So getting back to CRT, at the service academies now,
Right.
the superintendents at those schools are getting these requests or inquiries from their students saying, they're teaching that, I'm a white person, they're saying I'm a racist, and I don't believe in any of that stuff. I mean, it's turning these students to where they get to a point where, you know what, I don't know if this is my gig. I don't know if I want to serve in the armed forces. So this is just a way to get people to think about not wanting to serve their country in the military. So, what a better way to weaken the country than to divide the people that protect the country? They're doing the same thing with police officers. They're saying defund the police, and now they took away immunity from them. Which, I agree to some certain extent, but now these cops, they feel like their police, their chiefs, or the city councils don't have their bat. So now what they're doing is they sit in the police car and they just, the guy is, he just threw a rock through that storefront. Okay. They'll just sit there and they'll just watch it happen. They won't apprehend that guy because they're worried about, number one, will they get shot? Number two, will it escalate into a situation that could get them fired? So
and that's it. We there was a time the certain police departments, especially in some of the big cities, was a good old boy network.
Mm-hmm.
But those times have faded away or fading away.
Mm-hmm.
But the idea about the military and the reason they're doing it like at the academies now, like the Air Force Academy and stuff, is when Obama was president, he had 8 years to infiltrate the one stronghold that kept a that was apolitical and tended to be more conservative. That was the military. He started firing these generals, was it Flint? One of them spoke out really hard against him, and boy, I mean, he got they found something that they could use against him, and they not only took him down, but they took away his retirement. He spent 20, 25, 30 years in the military, and they destroyed him. And then they put in like, oh my God, this friggin' head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. That knothead. That guy is an idiot. And he should be stripped of his military standing. Because one, the military has always been apolitical. I mean, I served back during Jimmy Carter, and even then, as bad as it was, we weren't allowed to talk about it. The only time it came close to being anything political was in '77 when the budget failed in October, and we actually came into, they told us the day before, it was supposed to, the next day was payday, and it's first of the month, and they did not have a budget. They didn't have any money. The government they told us, bring our uniforms, but do not dress in your uniforms. You are officially off until, and at 4:30 that day, they called, the base commander called that and the wing commander called and said that we could now put on our uniforms. The next shift would wear uniforms. Well, we had 30 minutes until the actually it was 3:30 because we got off at 4. So they called at 3:30 and said the pay was there, and the base credit union had called the base commander and the wing commander to let them know that yes, the government had paid us, so we could go back on duty. And we did for 30 minutes, but none of us put our uniforms on because what was the point? We were already getting ready for the next shift's roll call,
Yeah.
But that was back then. We still were, we all mumbled that this guy was an idiot, but he was still our commander in chief. But once Obama got into office, he really started removing anybody that would stand up, anybody that would hold up their oath of office, which is to protect the Constitution from, protect and defend from enemies both foreign and domestic.
And domestic.
And this is the thing, they talk about not being able to send them down to the border. But we were fighting against, we were trying to protect the country against the domestic enemies. And that's, right down there. Here's something, though. They wouldn't let Trump sit, the Army wouldn't, or the military wouldn't send troops down to the border because they said it was unconstitutional for them to go protect that border. And so they wouldn't send them down there. But now the United States Air Force is flying illegal aliens that are being held down there, like down in Texas at what is that? El Paso, down there at El Paso. All those illegals that have come across and they're in those holding areas, they are now loading them on aircraft, that U.S. Air Force aircraft, and they're taking them to the other places in the United States and releasing them.
Yeah.
They were doing it by bus, but those were chartered bus. But now the U.S.
Those weren't Air Force buses.
Huh?
Those weren't Air Force buses.
That's right. Those weren't Air Force buses. Those were charter buses. But now the U.S. Air Force is actually flying them.
Yeah.
And that means the military is
wings.
Right. But the point is the U.S. military is now doing something about the border crisis, but they wouldn't do anything about it back when Trump was president. Which means they've, that's what I was trying to bring up, that they've infiltrated the military enough now, they're woke or whatever, that if something were to happen, we couldn't depend on the military.
Right.
The military will go into martial law under Biden or Kamala Harris or whatever name she's using this week. She doesn't even pronounce her own name right now. She changes it from week to week. But if they were to call for martial law, the U.S. military would step in and do that. But if Trump were reelected and he were to call it, they would overthrow him, because they have now had enough time to get rid of any generals that would stand up against the woke nation.
And what's I going to say? Oh, I had a thought and it went away. Darn, I hate that. Well, it goes back to I think one of the generals. I think it was during the Trump administration. He thought it was his duty to stop Trump because he really thought Trump was a menace to our democracy. Where, and it turns out this guy was one of those woke generals.
Oh, that's the guy that was supposed to. He wasn't a general. He was a major, and he was the one that the whistleblower had, he'd actually he'd been walking by or something and thought he overheard that Trump was talking to the Ukrainian president and
Oh
blah,
yeah,
blah, blah,
that's
blah, blah.
right. That's right.
And that guy,
Yes.
was he looked about as tough in the army tough as Pee Wee Herman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
I mean,
remember that. He was the one that wore his uniform to the hearing.
to the hearing, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that guy's a
I
friggin'
remember
idiot.
that guy.
Yeah, and
Yep.
that's the problem for since probably since Bill Clinton's time. They've been slowly infiltrating and putting these people in,
Right.
and then when of course,
When
then
Trump came in, he started getting rid of them, but he
started getting rid of them, but he didn't have
time.
enough time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you would have
And the other problem was the friggin' Republican Party. They were so determined to hate Trump. They may, and even now we still got those that, they're all riding on his, they're all supporting him now because, but
Not
secretly
Liz
there's still a
Cheney.
bunch of them out there that should he get the nomination in 2 years, 2.5 years, they'll do everything they can to try and destroy him again.
Right.
Even though they're going to show big support for him.
Mm-hmm. Well, Lloyd, we managed to blow through an hour, just the two of us this time.
Wow.
Yeah. So I want to thank you guys in the chat for all three of you.
Yeah, and I sent it out too.
Yeah. Well, we did get up to 6 people. I thought, ooh, that's pretty cool.
Good.
So, starting next week, I'm going to do the toffee thing. We'll see how that goes. Hopefully, that'll bring in some more viewers. It's summertime. A lot of people are out doing activities and stuff. So I understand why it's kind of light. Even on my Saturday show, I noticed there's been a drop off of people. And I think right after Labor Day, it's going to start pick up, and right around Christmas time, it's going to it's going to really pick up. So, thank you guys in the chat, Chris Wedgeworth, Mike B, and all the other people that were in there. Oh, it's just those two that have been there the whole time. But we did get up to 6. So thank you guys for coming. Check us out next week. We'll have some more new stuff. Please tell your friends about it. Help us out by building up this channel by spreading the word, saying, hey, these guys are, they're like-minded like me, and I think you'll like these guys. So let's get on the ball with that.
Definitely. Yeah.
So, Lloyd, any last words?
Well, what I always say, be kind, treat each other better than you treat yourselves. Remember, everybody matters, even old farts like us.
All right, take care, everybody. God bless and have a great Sunday. Bye-bye.